And good evening, Cuse Nation, and welcome to the Upstate Orange Podcast on FingerLakes1.tv and YouTube. We're coming at you live inside the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And it's a Monday night, January 26, 2015, a special post-game edition after Syracuse falls in Chapel Hill to the Tar Heels on Monday night. And I'm Jim Sinacropi. Here I am. And I'm alongside nobody tonight. Brad Connor out of town on business. Matt Berkey at home watching the kids. And so I battled the storm. Got in here. Watched the game up here in the studio. And, I'm pleased with the effort. And, a little bit dumbfounded at how bad, Patterson and Joseph and B.J. Johnson. I mean, these are scholarship guys that, how about that air ball that Patterson shot driving the lane late in the game from 4 feet? Or how about every single shot, that Patterson missed? All the threes. And how B.J. Johnson gets in the game, has a chance for an easy putback. Instead of putting it right up, he comes down with it, goes off his knee and out of bounds. I mean, that was 2 points. And then Chris Joseph. I mean, freshman point guard is tough, but, that early in the game, you had that breakaway that he just fumbled. And, to be honest with you, all these things I'm talking about are things that you think D1 quality top recruits, it just should be second nature. Making a 4-foot shot wide open in the lane, or at least hitting the rim. Handling the ball on a wide open breakaway, the basic simple play. And B.J. Johnson, sometimes it seems like these guys never even played basketball before. And the reason I might sound a little upset about it is that, Rakeem Christmas is unbelievable. And Benajay's playing good. And Cooney, you had a heroic effort tonight. I think he ended up with 28 points. But, those three can't do it alone. Roberson, pretty solid game. Wish he could make some free throws. Might have made the difference. But, that's where it ends. And so you wonder, what Boeheim can do because he's got nowhere to turn. You're talking about the sixth man on this team being Ron Patterson. And then the seventh man being B.J. Johnson. So Boeheim has no options. Now, don't get me wrong. I could see how if those guys could just step it up a little bit, improve just a little bit, that could make a big difference. And don't get me wrong. I think that Boeheim has worked bigger miracles than this. Although this would probably be right up there amongst the greatest miracles he ever worked of his 30-year career. But I think he can do it, and this team competes in every game they play in. Lost to Miami at home that one hurt. I actually liked our chances to beat North Carolina in North Carolina better than I liked our chances to beat Miami at home, to be honest with you. I just thought the matchup was better with North Carolina. And we had them, but, when you only have 6.5 guys available, you get tired. And I think that's kind of what happened. Ran out of a little steam late tonight. So we're going to break our format tonight a little bit and, go away from the big five questions. There's not going to be any trivia, which is too bad, but there's nobody here for me to ask questions to, and nobody asks questions to me. But I do have some questions. Number one, why haven't our sophomores developed more quickly? B.J. Johnson and Ron Patterson and Tyler Roberson, he's the one that seems to be coming along enough. But I think we all expected a little more even at this point in the season. If he could knock down that 15, 16-foot jumper, that would be helpful. I mean, that would really elevate his game because everybody gives it to him. And so when he has the ball out there just inside the three-point arc, they're dropping in on Christmas. If he can knock down that shot, that would be helpful. And then you have, Patterson, who I just want to, actually does a lot of good things, but can you just put the ball in the basket once in a while? From close range or from wide open threes, because when you're that bad, nobody's going to guard you, and you're going to shoot and keep missing it. I mean, it's embarrassing. And you can't tell me that, Ron Patterson isn't working hard on his shot. If he isn't, then that would be upsetting. But I have a feeling he's probably working pretty hard, and there's just still not falling. Not even close. I mean, tonight, Ron Patterson had 3-point shots that would have turned the game. A couple times he had shots that would have given us, I think one of them would have given us a 9-point lead. I think in the second half, one of them would have cut Carolina's 5 or 6 point lead to 2 or 3. Wide open. And Caleb Joseph, now getting away from the sophomores, actually, hold on. Yeah, let's talk about Roberson, the other sophomore. Now he's been coming along pretty good because he can obviously log extended minutes. Does a lot of good stuff. Big rebounder, which is very important for this team. Along with Benijay. We're lucky Benijay's a pretty good rebounder. But, again, I think that jump shot for Roberson would really help us a lot if they had to respect him on defense. When he's playing defense, it's all right. He's, I guess he plays his own like you'd expect a sophomore big man to do it. I'd like to compare maybe Christmas as a sophomore to Roberson as a sophomore, and, probably similar in their development. But why aren't these other, maybe not usually, but a lot of the time for Boeheim's recruits, they struggle a little bit as freshmen. But then they kind of step forward as a sophomore and play a bigger role. But these, Patterson and Johnson aren't playing because they've elevated their games. As a matter of fact, Johnson's really not playing, period, which is just a real indictment on him, on his game at this point and his development. That he's our 7th man, and he played 5 minutes. But, I guess some of it could be put on Boeheim's methods, maybe. I mean, you also see guys like this when you're talking about Boeheim. Guys that are coming as freshmen, highly touted, and then don't seem to get a lot of time as freshmen, and they go into Boeheim's doghouse, and we question whether Boeheim's treating them fairly or is too hard on them. We've seen it with a lot of guys throughout the year. The most famous iteration of that is probably Paul Harris. Came in highly touted and, had Boeheim down his neck his entire career. or especially early on, I think some people were like, geez, Boeheim lay off a little bit. You're probably stunting his development, right? But, I don't really buy that. Boeheim doesn't even coach these guys in practice. They're getting coached by McNamara, Autry, Hopkins. I don't know. Part of me just thinks that, that Patterson's got a bit of a head case, Maybe it's a confidence thing. You almost wish he'd break out, make one, and maybe more would follow. But, yeah. Let's talk about Caleb Joseph. Actually, before we talk about Caleb Joseph, I want to one more point about these sophomores and the way Boeheim manages his. Actually, in his book, Bleeding Orange, he said that you can't motivate college kids, with anything except playing time. They care about staying eligible academically. This is a bit from Boeheim's book. Staying eligible academically, relationship with their girlfriends, and playing time. Those are only three things that college kids, basketball players, care about. The only things that matter in general. That's from Boeheim's book. So he can't even use the playing time. I mean, he's obviously using it with B.J. Johnson, but at some point, put the bodies out there. They ran out of steam tonight against North Carolina. So it's got to be frustrating. A couple times I see somebody make a mistake. Boeheim will turn around on the bench to point to somebody to get him in there. He realizes there's nobody there. What about Christian White? He was a D1 scholarship player for Monmouth, I think it was. But maybe he's a guy you can throw out there. Maybe you just need, maybe he can make a shot. I don't know. He looks a little undersized. I don't know athletically how he'd match up against other ACC teams. But could he really be as bad as Patterson's been? The North Carolina game tonight. I mean, can't you just play basketball? You've been playing it your whole life. I mean, maybe Coach Boeheim's so in his head that he can't. But we really need him. I think Coach Boeheim would rather not play him at all. Maybe be one of those players that he starts and they come out 2 minutes into the game and don't come back. I mean, that's essentially what has happened the past several games. He'll play early and then not so much. And not so much down the stretch. He made a nice play in the second half with that run-out layup. Or actually, that was at the end of the first half. But, and again, wasn't supposed to be the starting point guard. Tyler Ennis was supposed to be here. Well, one other thing here. And it kind of has to do with Rakeem Christmas. I mean, he wasn't on the Wooden Award watch list. He should win the award by default. He's the best player in the country. 20 points a game in conference play. Played 40 minutes against Miami. Don't think he came out tonight. The early season foul trouble, he's figured that out. He's, for the most part, staying out of foul trouble. But he doesn't get any respect nationally. He's probably our best free throw shooter. Could argue that Cooney's better. But at the end of the game, I think I'd rather have Christmas on the line than Cooney. I just wish that Rat got a little more respect because he's the one bright spot. And he's also the one guy that makes me think that, his NBA draft predictions. Well, he was caught red-handed this week going back to past years and updating his rankings. In other words, he would go up and move someone, and he did. This is an example of one thing he did. He took Johnny Flynn and dropped him like 5 spots from where he originally had him. And he did this for all his rankings in the 2000s. What the heck? Don't you think that's kind of weird? But I guess that just goes to show you the kind of integrity you can expect from some of these so-called experts that emerge. And Boeheim really doesn't like the mock draft guys, and so this should give him some ammunition or verify kind of what he thinks about him. But I thought that was kind of interesting this week. And another question I got with this team is, all right, some of these games coming down the line, maybe NCAA tournament, maybe ACC tournament. Hopefully NCAA tournament. Right now it doesn't look like it. We're going to need someone to take a big shot at the end of the game, a final possession. And, against Miami, Cooney, he went to Cooney, terrible shot. But it was kind of obvious it was going to him. He played great tonight, Cooney did. I mean, he was ridiculous. But I got to tell you, I don't know if I feel too confident with him taking that final shot. And then there's Mike Benajay. I could see him taking the last shot. I mean, I think I might even rather have him take it than Cooney just because he might be able to create more. But he seems to kind of fade when it gets to the really big situations. And you want the ball in his hand, if he has to go to the foul line. He's probably the worst free throw shooter on the team, and it doesn't make sense. So, yeah, of course, we'd like Christmas to take the big shot. He's like the only option, maybe, that you feel good about. But late game situations, especially down 3, or even down 2, you kind of want the option to have a 3-point shooter. And I think Cooney could knock it down, but it seems to me like people are going to know it's coming and really lock him down, knowing that nobody else is going to make a 3-point shot except for maybe Benajay. I think if he could get his own shot, he can make it. And he's made some big shots that were kind of creating his own shot too, but it's difficult. But he was amazing tonight. So he'd probably be my option, him or Benajay, but don't drop a play for just one of them. Don't give the ball to Cooney and let him dribble it up. Run kind of an offense, even if it's a short possession. Run a play where Benajay or Cooney is an option. But then again, who's going to pass to him? Because at that point, you don't feel comfortable with Caleb Joseph in the game. Ron Patterson with the ball. Well, got to tell you, at the moment, it's not looking like, what are we, 7 losses now. So if you want to think about all the tough games we have ahead and realize that once we get up there to that 9-10 range, loss in the loss column, you're on the bubble. And looking at our upcoming schedule, ton of games left, including ACC tournament before Selection Sunday. We'll be lucky to keep that number below 14 with 7 losses right now in the ACC. And 7 losses overall. I'm sorry, no, it's not in the ACC. And it's frustrating because we can play a team like North Carolina on the road. We can play Villanova on the road. Miami's is very good. That's not a terrible loss. It's too bad that we lost at home, but so did Duke to Miami by more than we did. And Duke has, 10. They're 10 deep. Let's face it, we're 4 deep. It's tough to have a good basketball team when you're 4 deep. Roberson kind of moving into that core 3 guys that maybe we can rely on and that are going to have to play 40 minutes a game. Roberson, Benajay, Cooney, and Christmas. But looking at this upcoming schedule, we got Virginia Tech next. We got a break, which might be nice. But we have a break. February 3rd, it's Tuesday night. It's Virginia Tech in the Dome. A 9 o'clock start on ESPNU. And so I'd like to think we can handle that game. But I guess you never know anymore. This team could beat anybody or lose to anybody. And then it's at Pittsburgh on Saturday the 7th. At Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's down this year, but what do you think the odds are we win that game? If it's based on past history, it's probably about 5 to 10%. Usually don't win at Pittsburgh. Took a half-court shot almost, a shot from beyond the hash mark by Tyler Ennis last year. And then next week, actually it would be Sunday the 2nd, or February 1st, we might do a Super Sunday morning, Super Bowl Sunday morning edition of the Upstate Orange podcast. And then the following week is that Virginia Tech and then Pittsburgh games. And then on Wednesday the 11th, we're at Boston College, which I think we'll win that game. I really do. I think we'd be better off playing against Boston College at Chestnut Hill than we would do in the Dome even. Nobody shows up for those BC games. There'll be maybe more Syracuse fans than BC fans there in the Conte Forum. And then it gets crazy. Valentine's Day. Duke in the Dome, 6 o'clock on ESPN. That could have potentially been a college game day game type of game, but it's not, because we're not ranked in the top 25, and nothing we're going to do between now and then is probably going to get us there. Maybe a little less luster on the old Syracuse-Duke game this year in the Dome. But it's an opportunity to beat someone that'll look good on a resume. And I think that any team can be beat. I think this team can beat anybody and lose to anybody. So let's hope that a couple of those beat somebodies are a couple of ranked teams, a couple of top 20 RPI teams, top 15. We're going to have chances. Wednesday, after that Duke game, it's Louisville in the Dome at 7 o'clock. So 2 key home games there. And then we get Pittsburgh at home on Saturday the 21st of February. 3 days later on Tuesday night, which play Tuesday night a lot this year because of the ACC, at Notre Dame, 8 o'clock start. This is the best Notre Dame team there's been in a long time. But Boeheim versus Bray, even if he does only play 4 guys, maybe he won't even play Joseph or Patterson or Johnson. We'll just go with 4. I still like our chances to maybe pull off an upset there at Notre Dame, top 10 ranked team. And then Saturday the 28th, it's at Duke, 8 o'clock game. Cameron Indoor, another opportunity to score that win that we really need on our NCAA resume. I think we can beat Duke and Duke. Miami beat Duke and Duke pretty handily. NC State beat Duke. Tell you somebody we're probably not going to beat, Virginia on March 2nd. 7 p.m. Monday night game. Virginia currently undefeated. Don't imagine they'll be undefeated when they get there, but not a good matchup for the Orange. It's at home, I guess. Got a chance. Going to have to struggle with the pressure defense there. And then round out the regular season at NC State, a noon CBS game. And so you can see there, that's a very difficult schedule. A lot of opportunity for the Cuse there. But, I mean, on paper, we could literally go on a slide that would put us near 500. And that's something, is Boeheim going to get to 20 wins this year? Better hope we beat Virginia Tech. Better hope we beat Boston College. It'd be nice if we could somehow beat Pitt and Pitt. But after that, it's Duke, Louisville, Pittsburgh in the Dome, at Notre Dame, at Duke, Virginia, at NC State. If you're counting at home, if let's say we beat Virginia Tech and Boston College, and let's even say we beat Pittsburgh, then we lose to Duke, Louisville, maybe let's say we lose to Pittsburgh at home, beat them at Pitt, what the heck? Notre Dame, Duke, Virginia, I mean, you're looking at a potential 5 to 7 game winning streak during this, or losing streak during this stretch. 5 to 7 game winning streak, that would turn our season around, but it could literally go way south going forward. I don't think it will, because I got a lot of faith in Coach Boeheim. But hey, I don't really have much better news for you than that. Take a quick look at the box score from tonight's game. Michael Benajay, Trevor Cooney, Tyler Roberson, Rakeem Christmas, all over 35 minutes. Cooney, 40 minutes. Christmas, 40 minutes. Benajay, 38 minutes. You would just like to think that you could get more than 24 minutes from Caleb Joseph and 5 from B.J. Johnson and 18 from Ron Patterson when we're in this situation. But it's like we got the big four going to be playing all game long. Better stay out of foul trouble. And then these other three guys, one of them's got to be on the court, right? One of them's got to be out there. Ron Patterson, 0 for 5 from the field. 0 for 3 from 3. Caleb Joseph, 1 for 2. 24 minutes, he gets 2 shots. Hey, at least he made both his free throws. Speaking of free throws, look at this box score. Rakeem Christmas, 10 of 10. 22 points, 12 rebounds. 3 steals. Only 3 personal fouls in 40 minutes. Guy's unbelievable. But 10 for 10 free throws. Trevor Cooney went 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Benajay 1 for 3, which actually will improve his average. Or maybe not. That's right about his average. But that's tough. And Cooney, not a great night from 3, 4 for 13. 10 of 26. So, yeah, he scored 28 points. But he shot the ball a lot. But you know what? Somebody needs to create some offense. Most of those shots were tough. Could have made a few more. It might have made a difference. Michael Benajay, 6 of 14. It's not good enough. 3 of 7 for 3. That is good enough. 16 points for Benajay. And Roberson, 6 for 9 from the field. Most of it, in close. Made a couple of little jumpers. Second half. 5 rebounds, but also 5 assists. And 3 steals of his own. Kind of like Tyler Roberson, Thank goodness, and hopefully he'll continue to progress. But, the story for me is Rakeem Christmas. 6 of 12 shooting, 10 of 10 from the free throw line. He missed a 3 tonight. He took a 3. 12 rebounds. And then you got Caleb Joseph, 4 points. 1 layup at the end of the first half. 2 free throws. 3 personal fouls. 4 assists. 5 turnovers. Man, it's not going to be easy for Coach Boeheim going forward. But we're going to have a little break. Cuse not playing again until Tuesday, February 3rd. That is 8 days from where I'm talking to you, from a snowed-in FingerLakes1.com studio in downtown Seneca Falls. And I'd like to thank you for joining us, tuning in tonight. Special postgame edition of the show. Likely we'll be back Sunday morning for a Super Sunday edition of the Upstate Orange podcast in the morning. Check the listings at FingerLakes1.com or our YouTube channel for the time when we set it. And, make us part of your Super Sunday. So, it'll also give us a good time to kind of talk about maybe some other things than this specific team right now. because there won't be any games between now and then. But it'll also be nice to get Brad back on the line, the professor, and Vert back here in studio to talk about what they thought about these last 3 games. Nice win against BC. A little heartbreaking loss against Miami that would, make a few free throws, and we have that one. Miami makes some tough shots late. I can't believe I've gone this far in the show and not talked about the fact that Caleb Joseph just cannot seem to get out on shooters. I mean, of all the other things he does wrong, I get it, but I do not get how he doesn't get out on shooters, how he's not aware that they're there and doesn't get out on them. I mean, early on in the game, he found himself behind a big man down in the lane. He got picked, but what was he ever doing that deep in the lane anyways? Guy had a wide open 3 at the top of the key. Boeheim turned to the bench to pull somebody. He realized there was nobody there. But you never know. The team can get better. Ron Patterson can improve. I mean, God knows he can improve. B.J. Johnson can improve. Caleb Joseph can improve. And they're going to have to. Because the core 4 for the Cuse can't do it all. Especially not against this schedule coming up. So, wish I had better news for you, folks. Thanks for joining us on the Upstate Orange Podcast. You can subscribe to our feed on iTunes, Stitcher, at Stitcher.com, on your mobile app, YouTube, or via RSS. You can also download the FingerLakes1.com app from the Android or iTunes store. We're online at podcast.fingerlakes1.com/upstatehoops. So, for the professor, Brad Connor, and Matt Verkey, I'm Jim Sinacropi. Have a great week, everybody, and let's go Orange.